Good evening and welcome to my live stream. I'm Bob Pace, your host, and here we are tonight to fight CPS and stop taking our children. This is an evening live stream, one of two that I do every day of the week, 7 days a week. You found me on Facebook, How to Fight CPS, and I'm glad you did because I know what you're looking for. And this is a live stream where you can interact with people that come into this room, interact with me. We can answer questions or talk about topics that may be important to you. I know how hard it is to fight CPS. I too was a victim of CPS. They trashed my family. They stole one of my children. They retaliated. I've been fighting them for 15 years, and they are a very bad entity. Not all CPS is bad, but the ones that I've dealt with and over the 1,000 people I've talked to in here have had the same results. Our children were unnecessarily taken, they weren't in danger, and they will not do family reunification, and they make our life living hell. They're not transparent, they're not supportive, they lead you on. It's all about money, the bad CPS. Now, how I define CPS, it's a government agency that's set up in every county in every state and around the world. Yes, that means around the world. I have 21 countries that have talked or texted to me about their CPS case. Now, there's different names for these entities, so I just make it simple. When I say CPS, I mean the Child Protection System in every county, every state, and every country. Now, worldwide, I've had people from Indonesia, Bangladesh, India, up in the Middle East, from Libya, from Saudi Arabia, then down to Africa. I've had Liberia and Sudan and Rwanda and Mozambique, and then 2 provinces in South Africa. Up to Europe, it's been England, Scotland, Wales, along with Denmark and Sweden. Also, across the pond in North America, it is Canada with 4 provinces and all 50 states. I've talked to someone from each state, including the District of Columbia. South the border, Mexico, and then down to South America, Grenada. Then over the South Pacific to New Zealand, the land down under Australia, 2 states there. It's a wealth of information from all kinds of people, but they all have something in common. They're on hard luck, hard times, and they're low income at the moment. Maybe they lost a job like my case. I lost a job at the age of 60 after working 45 years. And it's through no fault of my own. And at that age, 60, they don't like to hire dinosaurs. They think everybody's too old. And right now, we have a president that's 78. We have another president was previously in his 80s. There's nothing wrong if you feel healthy enough and you've got your mind and your expertise. It's excellent to have somebody that has that experience. So I am actively seeking work. In fact, I'm doing more work for the attorney that sponsors this program, Vincent W. Davis. I'm now talking to potential new clients about their case on a one-on-one. So there's a time during the daytime. Now, I normally work from 8 to 10, talking to PNCs. Then from 10 to 11, I have my live stream. And then from 11 to 1, I talk to more PNCs. And then tonight, I have my live stream at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I was a little late because Vincent asked me, could I do 4 more hours today? I've already done 4, so I've now done 8 hours. And I had one PNC that was talking at the time my live stream was starting, and I had to take care of that matter. So that's my apologies. But I'm here, and you'll get the full hour with me. I have a timer, so you will get the full hour. Will not shortchange anybody in this live stream. I'm here to help you fight CPS, to talk about anything you want to that involves CPS. Now, there are several ways that you can um, interact in this live stream. One way is just by staying in this room and taking notes. And you can show emojis, smiley faces, thumbs up, love, even send me stars. Please check below the follow me. And if you want to know when I'll be on, check the notification button. Now, another thing that's good is you can text messages into me. It's a format I want you to use. Basically, what you do is you can text me a message about CPS, like a question or a comment. Please show me your first name, your city or county, and state. If you're from another country, show me your province and country, as well as the other things I asked for. Try to do the first time texting, talk about your case. Try to be complete with it. What is it involved? Is there a mother and father? You know, how did it start and where are you at now? So that helps me if you can be complete as you can. Now, a third way that you can interact in this podcast is to be a guest. And to be a guest, it's simple. All you're going to do is send an email to my show producer. Her name is Grace, and she works hard behind the scenes. Her email is grace@vincentwdavis.com. grace@vincentwdavis.com. And you send her one of the 14 show times you want to be on. It's Monday through Sunday. And it's morning or evening. That's all you have to tell her. I want to be in Bob's Saturday morning show, or Bob's Wednesday evening show, or Bob's Tuesday morning show. And she'll send you the link. The link is to StreamYard. That's the application I use. I broadcast over YouTube. And that's all there is to be a guest on that. And then I have the fourth way is to call in. I will take live calls during my show times. You can call me 626-698-0990. I'll take any call during my show times. Before or after, I can't take calls, but I'm going to start to change that because there may be a potential new client that wants to hire. So I have to run that through my attorney, Vincent Davis. He's the one that created this live stream. And I know there's lots of calls that come in during the daytime. So if it comes in during the time I'm on the phone, then I'll answer the call. So if any of you out there want to talk to me personally, one-on-one, it's between the hours of 8 to 10 and 11 to 1. And then you can talk to me on my show from 10 to 11 or in the evening from 7 to 8. Those are my hours. So that's 6 hours a day. But today I did a little bit more than 6 hours. I did 9-10 hours today. So anyway, I'm here to help. I too had a CPS case. My children were stolen. So I know how you feel. And so I'm here to help you. I'm here to listen and comfort you. You will not like what CPS has done to you or has done to me. I've lost the children. I'm trying to find my drink here. Here we go. I lost one of my children to CPS in retaliation. And it's a hard thing to lose a child. I mean, that's how bad CPS was. The social worker who didn't have even a high school education, no experience, committed perjury under oath in court. She was being asked by my attorney about my wife's sister and her husband about adopting our daughter and what kind of parents they were. And of course, he asked her, are they good parents? And the social worker said, yeah, they're great parents. Well, I knew he had a strategy. He next asked, Has there been any domestic violence with this couple? And the social worker said, no, they're great. No domestic violence. Well, then he looked perplexed and pulled out a folder and started reading reports from the police department. And these reports detailed not only domestic violence, but physical, where they were hitting each other. Is that a place for environment for a young 12-year-old child to be raised up? No, that's not. And she committed perjury. She lied under oath. She was so embarrassed after the third or fourth report that she left the courtroom. And she told us parents, you'll never see your daughter again. She did revenge, something I could never believe that a human being could take against. I had all faith that government agencies were honest and wanted to help with family reunification. Our children were taken in because of lay people that said falsified reports. Every week for 5 years, my in-laws, my wife's mother, father, 3 sisters, and a brother would call once a week and say we were not feeding our children, we're not clothing our children, we're not taking them to school. Anyway, they would come up with outlandish ideas, and every week I dispensed that. To after the 5th year, they got so frustrated that they called out what I call the National Guard. They had 5 firemen, 3 social workers, 2 code enforcement police officers, 2 uniformed police officers, and a detective. And they demanded to go to my house because they're on a witch hunt to look for something they could really charge us with. I thought by being transparent and open to them and being honest that they do the same, but they don't. They lie, they make up stories, and they falsified reports and took our children that were in school. They weren't in any immediate danger. Being in school, one was in a private school, 2 were in a very high-class public school. It was so embarrassing to the children to be taken like that, and they were so confused because that first night when they did that, they put them in a shelter that was very dirty and dangerous. It was next door to the Bureau of Prisons for juveniles. It was really bad. Their play area was the same play area as the prisoners serving time. And our children were in immediate danger. In fact, there was a bee's nest that got out of hand and were stinging the children. The place was dirty with roaches and rats. The food was horrible. They had terrible sleeping. And their idea of school was to read them a book. Now, my son at the time, 15, was in engineering classes. He was in the STEM program where he had classes like calculus and advanced placement physics. That's college level physics. You know, my daughter was in a very accelerated middle school, and so was my young son. At the time they were taken, they were 9 and 12 and 15. It was so sad that they had to be put through hell and tortured and alienated from their parents. CPS did not help at all. Now, I want to make sure I'm not ignoring anybody that's come into the room. I have family that come in here, and I really like to help you all answer your questions and your concerns. And I have a lot of knowledge. I've been doing this now for 17 months. Started October 2023. And I really know what you're going through. And I have many people that are family here. I have Betty, a foster mom in Montana that had the rug pulled from underneath her. She had adopted her niece, who was her brother's daughter, from a terrible place in Nebraska, and transferred through the ICPC, the Interstate Compact Placement for Children, from Nebraska to Montana. Took them home. And then they came up with a story that Oh, the original foster parents, there'd be an anguish separation between the 4-year-old child and the foster parents. That's not so true. It's because they lost the funding. Those foster parents were getting money from CPS to take care of that child. It wasn't in the best interest of the child. So that foster mom, Betty, had the rug pulled from underneath her. And it was a terrible, terrible, terrible thing that happened to Betty. Now, I have other parents in here. I have Margaret from St. Louis, Missouri. I have KK Richardson from Brooklyn, New York, who also does a similar show like I do on Monday nights. You know, the more knowledge you have, the better off your case will be. It's all based on knowledge, and I ignored that. When I started my case, I didn't have a real professional attorney. I had what was called a court-appointed attorney. They tell you, CPS, that if you can't afford an attorney, we'll provide one. That's your constitutional right. But they also don't tell you that those attorneys are criminal attorneys, know nothing about juvenile law, family law, or dependency law, and they do not know, how to get your children back. They will not fight because they're so busy. They have a caseload of 30 or more clients, so they have time not to talk to you. The only time you see them is when you're in court, and they tell you to be quiet and wait out in the hall. Or they go with whatever the social worker attorneys are saying, and the judge. My judge was corrupt. The social worker attorneys were bad. The children's attorneys were bad. My court-appointed attorney was bad. My wife's court-appointed attorney. It was sad to see before your eyes how corrupt the court system in the Orange County Dependency Court. Yes, my case was in Orange County with the Child Protection Services. This CPS entity is very corrupt. It's all about money. It's $1 trillion business. They were getting $20,000 per child per month to have them. I was getting some more of the drink because as I talk, my mouth gets kind of dry. Now, I hope tonight that you all will ask me some questions and how I can help you, because it's very important. I don't want to sit here talking about my case or about other people. I want to talk about what can help you. What can help you? That's what I want to talk about. Now, there's lots of topics that I can talk in here. I have what is a 388 motion? What is ICWA of 1978, the Indian Child Welfare Act? How do I file a complaint against a social worker, against a corrupt judge, against a bad attorney? What is a 160 hearing? What is ICPC, the Interstate Placement for Compact Children? There are lots of topics that you may be involved in and you don't understand, and I will sit there and help you. I have Nisha from California City, California, and her case was a newborn that they discovered the newborn had 11 broken bones, but she has rickets, which is where the bone is degenerated, and the nurses didn't know about it, And during the birth, she suffered her broken bones, not from the parents, but the parents were accused. So she's going through a terrible case in California City, California. The one thing I've discovered is you need to have a real professional attorney who's educated and schooled in juvenile law, family law, and dependency law. And we have one. He's the one that put together this live stream and put together all the other live streams. His name is Vincent W. Davis. He's a very aggressive pit bull of an attorney, but he's a kind man. He knows his law really well. He has gotten back thousands of children in fighting CPS. He's a trial attorney. He also, when your case is over, he can file a lawsuit, either in state court or federal court against CPS. And he's won millions of dollars in those cases. Millions of dollars. And so as I've talked to him, I've known him for a long time. And he's one of the best child protection attorneys there is. The child protection system. And he has live streams. He's on several times. On Saturday, he has questions and answers. And then during the weekdays, he has office hours where he talks. And then he'll talk about other things. He's written a lot of guides. And there's some important number up there besides my number, which is 626-698-0990, that you can call in. The other number on the screen, 888-888-6582, is the office. And you can call in to the reception there and tell them you need a book or a guide or something that would help you with CPS. When you do call in, make sure you tell them that Bob Pace sent you. And if you do talk to Mr. Davis, tell him that Bob Pace sent you. Now, there's a new book out called The Grandparent Guide with steps about getting guardianship of your grandchildren. It's very useful. It's geared for California, but work in other states. And parents can use it too, besides grandparents. You see, a lot of people don't understand. A family is more than a mother and dad or children. A family are the in-laws, the grandparents, the aunts, the uncles, the cousins. You know, that is a family. And when you are temporarily having your family broken apart, they can be put with other family members until you have your reunification, where you get your family back. You may end up taking parenting classes or programs. You may have a drug problem, an alcohol problem, something that can be corrected. And look who I was just speaking about. Nisha is here. She goes by the NYP, but that's Nisha. And she's from California City, California. And welcome tonight. She's part of my family. And I'm glad you're here. And how did your case go today? Because I knew you had court to date. I want to hear how they went. Did you ever get that phone conference with a judge? She had a very unusual case. It wasn't a Zoom meeting. It was a phone conference with the judge and the attorneys. And I want to know how it went. And if you give me an update, it would be great, Nisha. Because I do remember people in here. I care about every one of you. Every one of you is an important person in life. You know, life, let me tell you about life. There's the circle of life. I learned that from the Lion King. Some circles are big and some are small. But you go starting off as helpless. And you go through life experiencing things and growing. And in the end, you digress and become helpless again. But it's a circle of life. Now, another analogy that I like to place are the railroad tracks. There are two rails, and you're on one rail with your circle of life. The other rail is with God. We have a purpose of ending with God in heaven. They parallel each other and connected by wooden ties. And you go through hiccups and bumps and so forth. But you have to believe in something because it gets so hard. It's so heartbroken to hear you all tell me your story. I had one lady from South Africa in tears. She was country code 27. And she was describing her case. I had another lady from the UK, country code 44. That was in tears. A lot of you have showed a lot of emotions. A lot of you. But you got to keep your faith in God. That's the only way it's going to get you through. There is an end. You just have to put up with all the crap there is with CPS. They lie. They're not transparent. And they want to do revenge and lead you on. You just got to be educated enough. You just got to be educated enough. Now, Nisha, how did that phone meeting go with the judge and you and the attorneys? She's the one with the child with 11 broken bones that the parents were accused of breaking. And it's because she had a degenerated disease and the nurses at birth didn't realize that she was very fragile. So any pressure on her bones broke them, and not necessary from the parents. So they canceled the meeting, or is it on for tomorrow? Nisha, are you having your phone conference tomorrow? Are you having your phone conference tomorrow? Now, thank you for the Neri Galinda. Thank you for the heart. That's very precious. I appreciate that. We had emoji, and I thank you very much for it. Now, another thing I'd like to tell you all that if you call in or talk to me on the live stream, or you're a guest on my live stream, you're eligible for a free private Zoom consultation with Mr. Davis, a real CPS attorney. And he'll talk to you for free for 15 minutes. All you have to do is be a guest. I can take up to 9 of you to be a guest, or call in and talk to you on my speakerphone. And I'll ask you and set you up of how to be with them for a free 15 minutes. Now, 15 minutes is not enough time. I have another program. Now, for $60, you can talk to Mr. Davis for 30 minutes. That's a discounted rate. His hourly rate is $500, but he'll talk to you for 30 minutes for $60 on a private Zoom consultation with him. And that's because I've set that with him. You go to https://candely.com/apps APPTS VWD /Bob Pace. And I take you to a website. You go ahead and use your credit card, pay the $60, and you'll set up your 30 minutes of consultation with him, and he will talk to you. He will talk to you. So you get 15 minutes free if you call in or a guest. If you pay $60, you'll get that consultation. Now, Nisha says the lawyer hasn't responded when I asked that today. You've not heard one thing. Well, document. Write down the date and the time and where you're supposed to have that conversation with the judge. I know it's frustrating. I know it's exhausting. It's all these emotions. And I know that's what CPS is really hard about. Me, with my case, even though I've been fighting for 15 years, it still hurts with the loss of my daughter, the destruction of my family. I had to sell my home to hire a good attorney. I hired Mr. Davis. I had to quick sell my home with 50% loss, half of the price I paid for my house. I lost it all. I lost my equity and everything else. Also, my credit's been ruined. And also with the background in CPS, it makes me hard to get hired. People see, oh, he's with CPS. He must be awful. CPS is ruined. They have really ruined me. But my faith in God and the tracks in life and the tracks to heaven keep me together, keep me thinking, the connection, the circle of life. I believe there is a God and we have to trust him and pray to him to get us through this horrible mess. There are good CPS, child protection systems, and bad CPS, child protection systems. It's hard to distinguish. But I've developed 5 rules. Rule number 1 is you need to get the right kind of attorney to fight your case. 2, you need to document everything. Put it in a notebook. Start an incident log. 3, you got to say no to social workers and the police. Don't open your door. Don't answer your door. Don't let them take your child. And if you see them, what you do is just say you need to have your attorney present to talk to them. They have to agree to that. They can't back away from that. And watch out the medical trafficking, where you bring a child in for urgent care or you come in to have your baby, and the next thing you know, you're facing a social worker or a policeman that want to take your child. They cannot take your child. They have to have a court order, a warrant before they can take your child, with explicit instructions on how they're going to take the child. You don't have to talk to them. You don't have to see them. You don't need to meet at their office, or meet at your home. Try a neutral place, the library, Starbucks, McDonald's, and document. Take video, take recordings, write down your notes. And anytime you see them, just be polite, but tell them you cannot talk to your attorneys present. That gives you time away from them and time to resolve this matter. Now I have rule number 4, which is research the internet. The problem that most people have, including myself, was how to organize the wording for search. You always start off with a city followed by a state, and if you're outside the United States, a country. And then you put the letter CPS. And a lot of things will pop up, but if you want to make it more specific, put what you want to find in CPS, like a 388 motion or the ICWA, the Indian Child Welfare Act of 1978. So that's how you want to set up your formation words and fight. Now, I have someone I don't think I've spoken to before. Hello, K Diamond Rock. K Diamond Rock says, hi, she has a question. Hi, do CPS stalk the parent when you refuse to open the door for them? Because sometimes I feel that I'm being watched when I leave out. Yeah, I can believe some CPS are very vindictive, but understand this. Not all CPS systems are bad, but a lot of them are. And they want nothing more to kidnap your child, to traffic your child, to alienate your child. Why? It's because of money. It's $1 trillion business. $1 million was sent from the federal government to the state, to the Richmond, Kentucky area. CPS, the Child Protection System there in Richmond. It's called the Cabinet. They wanted to know what the $1 million was spent on. And all they found so far is that one of the social workers embellished $400,000. He stole the money. They're still looking for the other $600,000. They'll find it, but it is corrupt. When you're fighting CPS, you're like Alice in Wonderland. You fell in the rabbit hole. You're meeting the Cheshire cat, who's so crazy he sends you from room to room to room, room to nowhere. You need an attorney to fight them. Fighting CPS is like fighting open heart surgery. You know, with open heart surgery, you need a heart surgeon, has been educated and trained, done an internship, has a license, was mentored before he became cutting open your cavity. You cannot cut open your cavity and work on your heart yourself. That's the same analogy. You can't fight CPS. They have attorneys, they'll eat you alive. The court of law is very complex, and you have to rely on professionals, just like the doctor repairing your heart. I cannot picture you there cutting open your chest cavity, pulling your heart out, and working on it. That's why you need a professional attorney like Mr. Davis. And there are other attorneys besides Mr. Davis that help you out. As I always say, rule number one is you need to get 3 quotes. And one of them is easy from Mr. Davis because he meets all the criteria. And the questions you need to search on the internet. Remember, city, state, and then CPS, and then you say a juvenile law, family law, dependency law, CPS attorney. And you pop up with a half a dozen. And you go ahead and call that attorneys. You want to pick out at least 2 of them because you can contact Mr. Davis. And you want to find out by asking 2 questions. Question number 1. Are you a professional, legal, juvenile law, family law, dependency law, CPS, and have fought CPS and got children back? If the answer is yes, then the second question is, when you finish your case, have you filed a civil lawsuit against CPS either in state court or federal court and won money back from them? If the answer is yes, you got yourself a good attorney. You need to meet with them. You need to check out at least 3 references. Know how much your retainer is. Also develop the chemistry between you and the attorney. And Vincent's one of those 3 candidates. Then after you've interviewed all 3 of them, including Vincent, then you make a decision which one you're going to go to. Yes, it's a lot of money. I know in LA County it's a $5,000 retainer, and it goes up more as it goes north or south in California. Other states it can be very, very expensive. But you have to understand, you need a good attorney. Otherwise, you'll waste your money. Too many of you gotten the wrong kinds of attorneys. Now, Kay Diamond, who I don't know where they're from here, says she's being watched by CPS. And she asked me, is it true whenever you have a CPS case, they monitor uh, your child till they are 28? No, no. What happens, and I hate to tell you this, is they keep records on children. And so when children grow up and have kids, they'll have a record with CPS, and CPS will be after their kids. That's sad. You need your records expunged when you get through with your CPS case. And especially children need to be taken off the register of CPS so they're not a victim later in life. Hello, Truth Movement. You've been here many times over the years. Most recently, this court declared in Washington versus Gutzenberg of 1987 that the Constitution, and specifically the Due Process Clause of the 14th Amendment, protects the fundamental right of parents to direct the care, upbringing, and education of the children. Yes, so true. You need to know your constitutional rights. Now, the Truth Movement, I believe, is from California. Kay Diamond Rock, where are you from? What part of the world are you from? Nisha, don't be frustrated. Keep hanging in there. Now, so far tonight, I've had Nisha, who's been a long-time regular, part of the family. Kay Diamond Rock is new, and the Truth Movement has been in here many times before. How do you get it expunged? Well, what you do is you get yourself an attorney. It needs attorney because you don't know the laws. The laws are so complex, as I say. Can you do open heart surgery? Can you open up your chest, take that heart out and fix it? No, you need an attorney to do it. Okay, you're from Maryland. Great. I'm glad to have you from Maryland. I've had many of you. In fact, I had a social worker from Maryland who said Maryland CPS is good. Well, I don't think all of it because I've had several people from Maryland. The social worker name was Carol. And she, had a degree as a clinical psychiatrist. And she had 6 months of training in Maryland, which is good to hear. And what she said they did is really great. I didn't say all CPS social workers are bad, but a lot of them are. A lot of them are very deceptive. So you start off, if you want to get expunged, you give the city, Maryland, CPS, and then you say, how do I get my case expunged, my CPS case? And it will tell you so simply. And one of my last rules is that you need to make copies of all important documents and have them with you. Birth certificates, social security cards, driver's license, marriage certificates, shot records, school grade reports, etc., etc., etc. You got to make copies of all that so you have it readily handy. And that goes with your notebook, with your documents, how you document things. Now, I have about 15 minutes left. And so far, no one's called in. You're welcome to call in. I don't bite. And you can talk a little bit more freely. Also, I appreciate the text comments and the message you're making. You're all very good, caring people. You're in here because you have a bad case of CPS. I feel it. I hurt for you. I know what it's like. I've had a horrible time for 15 years fighting CPS. Even today, I question what took place, and losing my daughter. When I opened my show tonight, I talked about how my daughter was forced by the CPS worker to emancipate her parents, to change her name, to seal her birth certificate, to get a new birth certificate, a new social security card, and adopted by her foster parents. She at 12 didn't know any better, but the social worker was so embarrassed by committing perjury. So I know what you're going through. It's a horrible, horrible system out there. Whether you're in the United States or in one of those 21 countries I told you about, it's a worldwide epidemic. And right now we're investigating government. I hope they do straighten out the mess and where the money's going. Maybe they will. Now, the Truth Movement is talking about our constitutional rights. He says the 11th Amendment to the United States Constitution states the judicial power of the United States shall not be construed to extend to any suit in law or equity commence or prosecute against one of the United States by citizens of another state or by citizens or subject of any foreign state. This was a Fourth Amendment unlawful seizure and a 14th Amendment violation, which is due process. CPS keeping a parent away from the child undergoing a sexual assault examination without parental consent. A legitimate reason to exclude her or to a medical emergency. Yes, I know what you're talking about, Truth. Those are great comments about CPS. They are corrupt. Not all CPS are bad, but enough of them are to feel that way and to be that way. I know that. Now, I have about 13 minutes left, and I'd love to have you call in and talk a bit, or maybe there's a topic you'd like me to answer or talk about. Because you should not give up. You can fight CPS and get your children back. They're supposed to do family reunification, but they end up not to because why? The government rewards CPS entities a fee for getting the children adopted in foster care. They say that family reunification takes too long. It's about a year. Mine was 3 years. I had 3 years of fighting them. Before that, it was 5 years of fighting them with false allegations. That's 8 years of my life. That was ruined. And for 15 years, I've been still fighting them. CPS should not be a game where they have to win. The child protection system should be doing family reunification where they want to bring the parents together. Studies have shown that the best parents to raise children are the biological parents. Time after time, studies have shown that the biological parents can raise the children properly. And you're in here because you love your child and you want to fight CPS and you hate to see what's going wrong or bad. So I really, really feel for you and want to help you. I feel for you and want to help you. Now, my time's slowly ending, and I'll go back to making phone calls tonight to try to talk to people to help them. Hello, this is Bob Pace, and welcome to my live stream. Who am I talking to? I'm sorry, this is who? Okay, it's hard to hear because it sounds like your microphone is muffled. Okay, good, good. What can I do for you, Truth Movement?
Well, I was just reading the comments, and you know what's amazing is how afraid we are of the government. We should not have to fear them for anything.
Well, it is hard because you have to understand the government is so powerful they control your life. You're scolded if you're at the beach and you do something wrong. I mean, they're all over the place.
But that's what I'm saying. I mean, I don't understand. I mean, for instance, in my case, I went all the way to the Supreme Court of Washington. But I mean, I'd go into court, and you know how you see everybody, they honor the judge, they respect him. You know, I mean, if he tells you to jump, people jump. I would not. And I mean, I wasn't disrespectful in their court, but there's an etiquette, and there are court procedures and court rules, but they're only for us, not for them. And I held them to it. I'm like, no, you can't do this. And I mean, literally to the point where I'm like, you're going to have to arrest me, or you have to hold me in contempt. Because what people forget is that if a judge puts you in contempt, he can't just put you in jail. You have the right to have a direct appeal to a higher court. You know what I mean? Yes, sometimes it takes a few days, but that being said, it happens all the time. And because we're not willing to put our own lives in jeopardy for our children, we get screwed over. I went 2 years without my children, and they paid me a whole lot of money every month. I was getting $4,500 a month from the state.
What was the purpose of the money? What was the purpose of the money?
Oh, because I decided, they told me that, you know, I was living in the same city as my children, and they wouldn't help me at all with anything. Not like I needed their help, but you know, I read the rule book, and they're supposed to. So I moved out of the town, and I moved a long ways away, and they had to pay me for my travel time. They had to pay me for everything. I mean, hotel. I mean, but not just that. They had to pay me the same amount of money they were paying the foster parents. Right? And I mean, I made that a clause. I mean, everybody else was getting denied their taxes. I was getting my taxes. I didn't even have my children full time. I didn't even have my children at all, and I still received my taxes because I made them sign a waiver. Right? And I mean, because our lawyers are not explaining to us that we have the right to call everything they do in question. And we have a fundamental right to do this, but our lawyers aren't putting in the motions. My lawyers did.
Well, it depends on the lawyers, because if you have a lawyer retained and his rate's $500 an hour and he has $15,000 retainer, he'll fight as long as that retainer is there. But he only goes so much time. And so reasons why attorneys don't.
I got it. I was given a state attorney, right?
Oh, you
Paid
had
by
what's
the
called a
state,
court-appointed attorney, and the court-appointed
it is
attorneys
a court
are
appointment. He's a
lousy.
public pretender.
They are lousy. They're lousy because
No. Mine were phenomenal. You know why?
why?
Because I made them do their jobs.
Well, that's true.
Them,
there is
right?
a way you could do that, but were they
everything.
trained? Were they trained in juvenile and family law and dependency law? Were they trained in that?
They weren't. And see, here in Washington, there's a select pool. I mean, attorneys that represent children or that are in the child court services. They are in a different bracket. They are specialized, and they're only allowed to study and practice in that particular field. I mean, Washington, the state of Washington, and we follow a lot of the same asinine rulings that come out of California, you know. But that being said, Washington is its own form of Democrat. But that being said, I mean, when it comes to CPS, you know as well as I do, it's not really political affiliated. They're both in on it, both sides of the field. You know what I mean? It's all about the money.
Yeah.
And I figured out that, you know what, I'm entitled to that money too. And I threw it in their faces. I'm like, look, no, you got to keep saying it's about the child, but it wasn't about the child. It was about the money, about them forcing you to take therapy. I mean, if you were to have your child at home, you could not get therapy for your child. But once you get into CPS clutches, oh gosh, man, the doctors are lining up. And tell me that's not true.
No, I mean, I hear what you're saying, and I agree with you on that. I do want to say hello to Chew Baby that just came in. Hello, Chew Baby, and she's from Richmond, Virginia. Welcome to the live stream. We right now have on the phone the Truth Movement from Washington, from the state of Washington, and he's talking about the fundamental rights of the 14th Amendment and the 4th Amendments of your constitutional rights. And I appreciate
the 14th Amendment also and the 8th Amendment. You know, all of these these rules that your lawyers are lawyers. And I mean, I literally had to train because I took my case all the way to the Supreme Court of Washington. I literally had to train my own attorney how to address the Supreme Court with my case, saying, because they didn't want to talk about fundamental right violations. And I'm like, no, that's what it's coming down to. And because we opened that door, and I'm talking specifically when it comes to witnesses, right? I mean, CPS throws everything at you, but you know what? When you take it to the appeal court, none of those rulings, because they weren't rulings, right? They were just lower court things that don't make it in, because only legitimate issues actually make it to the appeal court. Well, I did my own objections. I mean, if my lawyer wasn't doing their job, I spoke up, and if the judge would try to tell me that I wasn't allowed to do it, I would be going like, well, you know what? I'm ready to go to jail now. And they would never arrest me. And I mean, they'd like try to tell me I wasn't allowed to record them. They would try to tell me I couldn't, you know, this, and that I wasn't allowed to cherry pick my own attorney. I went through 6 different attorneys. And they're always going to tell you this, but as long as and you can't act the fool, you know what I mean? You know that. You cannot act the fool. But I would just go in there and I would have a big old briefcase full of paperwork in it. Half of it wasn't even, there was nothing written on it. It just looked like I had a whole bunch of paperwork.
Why did you, Truth Movement, why did you lose your children? What was the reason your children were taken away?
Well, I mean, but that being said, I'm a felon. Right? I've been to prison. I've done things that they considered unconventional. You know, I mean, I was kind of
but what were you charged with by CPS? Were you charged with neglect or abuse?
No, nothing. We were in a hospital in Spokane, Washington, and we were treated great. I mean, we were in the maternal ward, right? Baby was coming.
Well, why was your children taken by CPS, or why was CPS involved?
Because we had a beautiful brown baby. Right, we did nothing wrong. We had money.
Okay.
But that being said, it comes down. They already had a foster family in waiting.
Yeah. Well, I understand.
They said we were homeless.
Okay.
They
I'm very passionate what you have to say, but I do need to end the live stream because now I've gone an hour, and so I need to get going to my other calls. But I don't want you to stop. You've called in before, Truth Movement. I want you to continue to be a part of um, my live stream. So I thank you very much from Washington, and for sharing your thoughts. Also, A1, it's good to see you again. And Chew Baby from Richmond, Virginia, it's nice too. And so, Chew Baby says you can't cherry pick a appointed attorney. No, you can't. And you shouldn't really use a court appointed attorney, just like you wouldn't be a layperson opening up your heart to work on your heart. You're going to pick a doctor. But anyway, I want to thank you for calling in. I do need.
That is the problem. Yeah. We're talking about public school versus private school. Public schools are way better than private schools.
Yeah. Truth Movement, I got to end it. I'm not trying to be short with you, but I got to. I want to say goodbye to the people that have called in. K Diamond Rock from Maryland. Truth Movement, where are you? Oh, from Washington. And then A1. I forgot where you're from, A1, but I'm glad to see you. I knew Chew Baby is from Richmond, Virginia. And so I want to thank all of them. All of you for being a part of my live stream.
God bless you. Have a wonderful night.
Yeah, and you guys too. And Nisha from California City, California, thank you. You started off the live stream. So I'll begin on tomorrow at 10 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. That's California time. So I can see you tomorrow at 10 or at night at 7 p.m. Also, I hope you continue to fight for your kids, and you need help. I'm on twice a day, 7 days a week. That's 14 live streams that I do. So God bless you all, and thank you so much for coming into my live stream.